Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Tom.
Jason, how you doing?
Feeling good today. Strong,
Awesome.
chesty day.
Strong chesty day.
Yeah,
Nice. You got the
this
workout
was
in?
one. This was one of those days when I just went strictly for numbers, uh, just because it felt cool. Didn't even warm up irresponsibly, but it was a good day that made me feel healthy. So thankful for
Nice.
that today. My
Well
mom's in
done.
town. She's sleeping in the room behind me with the door shut.
Okay.
And in my head, I'm like, is it weird to have somebody listen to me talk to my screen? And I said, I've been doing this for a few months, so why not let it flow? And she's my mom. She's not going to hate anything.
Yeah, of course.
How about you? How's your day starting?
Um, Pretty good. It we're in we got 3 days of rain here, so we're gonna be a little wet today. But so I'm not sure, not exactly sure if I'm gonna go for a walk after this. We'll see. I think I'm
Mm.
gonna do it and just see how far I can go without getting annoyed by being splashing through puddles and getting wet. So,
Is it the big old fat rain or is it the sharp rain that comes from the side?
it's yeah, it's kind of just sprinkling. It's not. We don't have a lot of wind or anything like that, so it's very light rain. It's almost like the rain that you don't even notice you're getting hit with, but then like you show up at your destination and you're soaked.
Yeah,
Um,
the
I
mist,
have
the
plenty of
misty
change of
soak.
Yeah, I have plenty of change of clothes, so it's not like it's a big deal or anything like that. I might even have a second pair of shoes in the car.
Mm.
That's the only annoying part is if the shoes get too wet, like I have to work the rest of the day in them. Um, but yeah, as far as the clothes and everything like that, yeah, I don't mind the water. So yeah, I'll go on a walk, Robbie. I promise. It's just a matter of it may not be multiple miles.
We have the frozen rain today. All the kids are up. They're up and awake because they were excited that it was a snow day, and I was
Okay,
too.
yeah.
But it is not a snow day. We got to go to school, so
Oh, you do?
it's just kind of like a house of disappointment right now.
Oh no. That's pretty funny though. Like they hear it's a snow day and they like are so excited that they wake up without a problem.
Yeah, well, so do I. Like, if it's a snow day, like
You're like, I'm getting my chest out.
I will be up at like 4:45 and just ready to devour the day. But then uh
Then you
because
get it
like I wake up, I check for the email, no email, and I'm like, ugh,
kicked in the face.
even though my days have been going pretty good. But
Yeah. Well, good morning, everybody in the chat. We got Brofit, Fialo, David, Robbie. Who else is in here? Jason's in here talking in the chat. What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? We got the weather out of the way. Um, you gonna start with some gratitude? I feel like starting with it.
I'm so yes, I agree. I'm trying here. I do one of two things in the evening or the morning. I'll
Mm-hmm.
either read the page. We are currently on page 50. I'll try to read the page and align a gratitude with that page of the previous day, or I'll wake up
Okay.
and try to align a gratitude with the rest of the day based on the reading. And it
Hmm.
goes back and forth. Um,
So what'd you come up with?
I'm trying, even though it's the first the first time I'm announcing this, I did have a hard time with the comparison part. I think it's good reading about comparing and how that happens inside the house and outside the house.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm thankful for is that my kids do think of our house as their comfort space. Middle daughter will have wildly bad days and wildly good days. Like she had a bad day yesterday, but it's like as soon as she's here, mask comes off, She's able to, she feels like she can kind of express whatever emotions she has for the day. So I'm
Yeah.
thankful we have that connection. That's mine.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think my middle child is the same way. And I am trying my hardest to give her that space for that energy to come out. Um, and then also trying to walk my wife slowly to that realization that she needs to kind of do the same as well for her. Funny enough, my wife went on a field trip with her class like a week or two ago, and she saw a completely different side of our daughter. Basically, quiet, standoffish, shy. Like she was saying that other kids were, trying to get her involved, but she was very like off in the corner and to herself. Whereas like at our house, like she's our loud, she's boisterous, like she's all over the place. She's got energy. She's, look at me singing, doing all this stuff. Um, but it's just a different space at the house. Like I don't know. Sometimes I think we just want it to be very like quiet and chill and relaxed, and we expect that the energy gets out in the playground or the school or with friends and other people. And I think we learn that it doesn't, and so we need to do a better job of creating that safe space environment where the kids can be a little wild and crazy. Like I think I do it. I think I've done a decent enough job of switching over. Sometimes I don't, but it's a very good point you bring up there. Something I need to think about a little more.
The So one thing that I was thinking about last night was starting with us as adults
Hmm.
and maybe reflecting back on our childhood. What was there ever a time where you felt like you were compared either fairly or unfairly to other kids by somebody else? Like it's natural to compare ourselves to other people, right?
Yeah.
But was
Yep.
there ever a time that you felt like you were compared unfairly or uncomfortably and vocally? And I guess the example I'd go with is a parent in some kind of situation. My mind goes to sports. Like, see what so and so's doing. You should be doing that. Has that ever happened to you as a kid?
Um, Not that I can recall too much. I'm trying to think. Like I know for sure that like my younger siblings were compared a lot to me, and I know that that's created a lot of issues in my younger siblings. I was the oldest. I was a at face value as a relatively good kid. Like I learned a lot of lessons pretty early on, and so I was, I kept myself good either either totally or just I showed a good side to my parents. And so I have a couple of siblings that grew up with a little bit too much comparison to me, and they felt that my mom uh, didn't uh, think as highly of them as she did of me. So there's a little issue there. As far as me, I think I got it more along my dad's side of comparison. But I don't know what he wasn't comparing me to. I don't know what he was comparing me to. I think he was comparing me to just a higher potential. I don't think there was a specific like person that I remember being compared to, or it was just more like, oh, you should do this, like be better in this way. There wasn't like, as far as I could remember, examples or anything like that were like specific examples that were given.
Mhm.
Yeah. How
I'm in
about
the
you?
same. I'm in the same boat as you. I was the oldest. I felt like the comparison was to like my parents' hope of the person I would be, or at least like their goal or like the direction they want me to go. I don't know really anything about the comparison of being compared to somebody else, and that I think that might be like great question for Ryan. Um, I was a rule follower for sure growing up. Ryan was a deviant in comparison. And I don't know. We never discussed if that was maybe because of any kind of comparisons. Our younger brother, I think he's 6 years younger than Ryan. And I think he was maybe beyond that age where like comparison would be applicable. Like he kind of had, kind of like how my youngest latches onto me, he latched onto our dad.
Okay.
So it wasn't a lot of like all three of us hanging out at the same time all at once. It was like me and Ryan, and then Kyle by himself instead.
Hmm.
Um, the one thought about the kid comparison, and we've talked about like this, the radical optimism that kids deserve at home, is like the world is a great immediate source of feedback and
Yes.
criticism. And that's something that I want my kids to learn. It's like I will always push them and I will always, give them benefit of the doubt. I will never compare them to other people. Well, maybe I mean it's kind of hard in sports, right? Because it's like that's the one thing where that's one thing I'm always like, yeah, you see, but like the little tiny comparisons like technique
Yeah.
or skill or
Yep.
something. But besides that, like there's days where they're gonna be beat down. Um, like we are their safe spot. The world will do its job.
Yeah. Like like how David's just letting us know that it doesn't stop, that we still get to do this as adults. So I I'm curious how that continues to play out. I think about seeing it in my mom. Like I'm pretty close with my grandmother, and she has three daughters, and I think she's constantly having something going on with each of the daughters. So it's like I can see how it I know how it never stops it. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you think a lot of people think we know here that it doesn't, because we have people like David and Craig and all the other guys, but Robbie was the other one. Um, a lot of people think it just ends at 18 or even a little bit earlier because they come a little bit more independent when they're like 16, 17 years old. But yeah, it never stops. You still this you still have to do this job forever. Um, where's it going with the comparison before that? Oh, I was reading the reading, and this reading was a good one for me. I really liked it. I think it's been something that I've tried to change a little bit in our household because our middle child definitely has grown up with comparison issues, brought on by herself mainly, but obviously there's some or a lot of it that was brought on by us as parents. And it's been one of my goals to try to double down on making sure that I figure her out a little bit more and see her for who she is as much as possible, so that I can let her know that I can be aware of who she is and how she's different from her older sister, and I can let her know that I still love her for exactly who she is or whoever she's going to become, and be proud of all the things that she does, even though they're completely different than her sister. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things that you have to catch yourself doing, like because you have a kid and you think, okay, this is how it's going to be, and then you have another one and you're like, well, it should just be pretty close to the same, right? Like you have the same parents, we have the same lifestyle, all this stuff, but it really is, they really are little snowflakes. They come out like completely different, And, one trait that one kid has is like an intense trait of maybe like a parent, and then the other kid will have maybe a more dormant trait that the kid has, but is still comes in way more intense. So they can easily just be completely different humans.
Yeah, it's sometimes I think it's almost like you're for however many kids you have, you're that many parents, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly.
Um, one thing Rob brought up that his kids are 26 to 36. I have a friend who's in his 40s, and we got into discussion about his childhood. He went through a divorce, and one thing that he opened up about was the support that he's lacking from his family. And one of the things that came up was he was always compared to his siblings. Even at early 40s, that stuff grows legs and it grows roots, and it
Yeah.
affects it just lingers.
Yep.
Um, so I think about that when it's like I don't by no means do I ever really compare my kids to each other. Um, but have listening to an adult explain what that comparison has done to them over the years, that sits in the back of my mind whenever I think about using other kids or sisters as examples.
Yeah. I mean, I'll let you guys know a little bit of what's going on. Some of you may have heard or not, but part of the thing that I was referencing earlier is I have a younger brother. So I'm 83, he's 97, so he's what, 14 years younger than me. And he's always grown up feeling like I'm guessing I'm gonna speculate a little bit, but I have a little knowledge, right? Always feeling like a little in the shadow. And a little over a year ago, he kind of spiraled out of control a little bit and he destroyed my car. And ever since then, we've been in a like legal back and forth battle about some stuff. And I haven't seen him or talked to him or anything like that. And you know, middle of the last year, I just stopped talking with and communicating with my mom. So it's one of those things that it could easily fester into something very relationship destroying. And I don't think it was anything that, was like meant to happen that way. It's just how it came out through his childhood and me being like kind of in the picture, but not, because when he was little, I was already a teenager. So I'm sure there was a bunch of stuff that could have gone differently, but that's where we're at right now. And so yeah, it's no joke. Like it definitely can affect people in pretty bad ways. I mean, it's really rocked our family, um, and all the way up, into like going to visit my grandmother is a little contentious right now. But I need to see her, so it's been a really long time since I've seen her.
You said you've kind of felt like you were in the shadows. Is that something that was like explicitly put on you and like by something that was said, or is that just sorry, don't mean to use the word just, or is that something that uh, you formed yourself?
Um, so he grew up, it cast a little bit in my shadow, and then when he was younger, I was already a teenager and then went off to college and all that stuff. So I think there's a little bit of like abandonment issue from him on like, why didn't I have an older brother like that could help me like go through life and go all these things? Like, why have you
Oh,
been so
wait, sorry,
distant?
did I get this mixed up? Was it
I think you did.
he felt like he was in your shadow?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
I'm the oldest. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's 14 years younger than me. So um, I think he knew I existed. Like he saw me, like I was old. You know, it's the older sibling thing that happens with younger siblings. Like you want to do what they want to do, or you want to grow up the way they want to grow up, or it kind of seems like they're leading the path. Um, and you know, from my side, it's like the opposite, right? Like I was the only for a while, so I had no one to like show me the ropes, and so I didn't really feel, and I don't really feel that I owe that to any like younger sibling. Like, and that's probably just my own little issue of growing up without anyone. I don't know. It's a weird thing that I've been trying to rationalize because he did like make a point at some point to me in our little feud going on right now that like he felt like I let him down or something, and it's just a weird thing to say, like, or for me to feel like I owed someone something just because I was born first when like I didn't have anyone, you know, I didn't have an older brother or older sister showing me what to do, and
Mhm.
I made it through my years kind of thing, you know? It's just a weird thing for someone to have said to me, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that was my attitude growing up as well. We talked about a few days ago when Ryan was on, we talked about, I forget what we talked, it was like something about giving advice. And
Mm,
one of the things that I regret being as an older brother is there was a time, oh, we were talking about relationships where he was like, he was always in like a longer committed relationship. And he was like, he always had like, never was a serial dater. And I remember one time, like he was in a really bad spot in a breakup. And number one, I didn't really know how to handle that. And number two, like for some reason in my head, I was like, tough love's the best love. And I probably said like the worst thing ever was like, it was like some along the lines of, everybody's got their own stuff going on. However bad you think you are right now, somebody else has got it worse. And then I walked away
mm,
and I was like, I reflect on that. Like that was like that was the least empathetic I could have been to my brother,
yeah.
you know? So that affects how not just with my kids, but even like with my, you know, with my wife or other friends. It's like how can I make this better? Should I just shut up and listen? You know?
Yeah.
You know, I've definitely said the wrong thing at times, even as an adult. Um,
Or, yeah. Or that sentence isn't, that statement that you made isn't wrong. And it
it's not
isn't like,
wrong.
it's not bad to have put in that place. It's just like, if you could have added a second line that just says, you know, like I don't know what you're going through, but maybe someone else does. So maybe you just got to you know, you got to keep searching for people. You know, it's like it's Ryan makes that comment all the time. It's like everyone is going through something, and there are plenty of people out there that are going through very similar situations to you, and you never know because no one's an open book. Like I can't read all the information about you. It would take me forever and it'd be impossible for me to read your entire life story. So it's just more of you got to keep talking to people until you find some, you know, the next person Ryan would have talked to could have been someone going through, just went through a breakup. But yeah, you in that time frame, you didn't know what it was that he was going through. But yeah, it's definitely tough. And I think when it's with your family or your siblings, you're definitely a lot less empathetic, and you're more like, you know, get off me. That's not my problem.
Yeah, I probably could have said literally anything else. Literally anything else would have helped that situation. So
Poor Ryan.
in that case, comparison was not the correct path.
Yeah.
How
Yep.
about how about you yourself? We got 3.5 minutes left. Some last thing I thought about was how you compare yourself to others, or even like compare your family
Mm,
to others. I do it all the time. That is always in the back of
yeah.
my head, and it is usually negative because I'm comparing all the good things that I see to all of the worst things that I think of myself. That's where my mind goes first. Um, like for example, one thing that sometimes gets to me is like you go on Facebook and it's like we see vacation pictures from other families, and that's awesome. Happy for them. We're not necessarily at the place where we can like take just kind of like plan a week next week to just take off. Is
Yeah.
it needed? Yes, we need it for sure. And me and Kristen are trying to make that happen. But that's one way that I compare in my head.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the toughest things. It's hard to, it's hard to know where everyone else is at compared to where you're at, and then say like it just might not be right for us at this point. But yeah, we do it too. We do it. Of course, we do it. It's impossible not to, with everything that's on social media right now, to not say like, oh, this person's, off doing this again. I had for a while. I had when my wife and I had our kid very early, but I have this cousin. She's really like one of my best friends, and she had just gotten married, and her husband, like, they, very much were planners and planned their life out pretty analytically. So they, spent a good amount of years married, grinding at their jobs, becoming like, climbing the corporate ladder, stacking funds, and going on these like amazing bucket list trips. And like we were always very much like, oh dang, like look at that, that's amazing. And then they like, they like hit the bucket list, and then they were like, okay, now we're gonna have kids. Like, whereas me and my wife, it was just like we were having fun dating, and then we were like, oh shit, we're having a kid. Um, so there was a little comparison there. And then I have another friend who he built this amazing company, and then he sold it for an amazing amount of money. And then he's just been like semi-retired consultant for that company for years. And he goes on like next level trips, like just, and I see him, I talk to him, I hang out with him, like where are you going next week? And he's just like, oh, I'm flying to freaking somewhere to go to the World Cup. And I'm like, Jesus, all right, because
Yeah.
they're big soccer people. And
How old
yeah,
is he?
he's I want to say he's about our age, like
Yeah.
maybe a
Yeah,
year or two younger in either direction.
that's a comparison. That's a
Yeah.
comparison to make for sure.
And then same with my cousin. She's like 2 or 3 years younger than me. So it's definitely like you have these things where like families are we're all kind of the same age, and we're all kind of living in different ways. Like even in the space here, like it's hard not to do it, but you just have to do it in a way that you you understand that like you're just in a different point, and maybe you make some changes so that you can get a little closer to one thing, or maybe you say, look, we're going to book that one trip this year that we really want to go on, and we're going to make it work, and we're going to start saving for it now. Or you just like realize that like that's not where you are right now. And
Well, I mean, I will say that like that the comparison is short lived. Like I feel
yeah,
like I'm pretty realistic and humble about it. Like um totally aware of different situations, different life choices. Because I'll even go back to like, man, like like when I think about careers that like, allow for those kind of things, like
yeah,
more time to treat yourself or your family. It's like, what choices did I make? I'll often go back and like reflect on the choices that I made that put me here now.
hmm
And over like for the most part, I'm happy, except when I compare myself to these, to these other people that made different choices that allow them to do the things I want to do. So
yep. It is a rough one. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? That's the big line. That's the undercutting line. that is everybody knows, but is hard to fully grasp and understand in a lot of those moments.
Yeah.
Yes,
Gotta
sir.
put it above my bed.
Right? Tattoo it on your inner arm.
Yeah. All right. I gotta
All right,
go.
everybody.
I hear footsteps upstairs.
Yeah. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Let's everybody out there have a good day and a good morning, and we will chat tomorrow. Yeah, we're out of here. Let's see
Yeah.
if I can get this to work.
Thanks everyone
See you,
for
buddy.
tuning in this morning. Good to see your names popping up.
Yep. All right. Talk to you later.